you would go on to work for the WWF at the time, and which was not easy, as I mentioned. It's a tough business, but you were working for the WWF before you really made your debut. But for most people that remember you, it's from when you started appearing on television. And it's funny because we both started about the same time in '87. And when you got there, I mean, you knew you'd been around the business pretty much your whole life, but it had to just be overwhelming because now you're traveling to all these cities. You are these arenas. We're talking. There's always more than 10,000 people at those every stop. What was it like when you first arrived, and how did you deal with it?
Well, let me tell you first. And you were we went back on earlier about like the sherry, and I didn't even ask for a dressing room when I first started out. If I did dress and use that, I did it as we set up the ring. I'd go in there, use the showers, and be ready before the guys got there an hour before the arena, because there wasn't any dressing rooms, and you don't ask for it. I mean, that, if you ask for something, then, you're causing a problem.
Yes.
And that's the thinking of that. If you just did what you could do and not cause any trouble. Like the old adage goes, you can be seen but not heard. So we don't want to hear you. Don't ask me for something. Yeah. And so that part, and just like you said, from what I had seen. And, of course, doing the house shows, but going into a national televised setting and these huge crowds and people that I didn't know, from Howard Finkel to, your television people, and I'm sure, my God, who is this? And what are they doing with her? And maybe for first year or two, they all think, well, she had to get her job somehow. God, it couldn't be on my own merit, do you think? Yeah. But that's the thinking back in those days. Yeah. Because the women wasn't there. So, but that was a thing that when I had talked to Vince before we did this national television thing, he never, he just said, you'll be fine. He never told me what it was going to be like. And it was just throwing yourself into a situation of do or die. And my do or die was, and I kept on saying in the back of my head, why I can do this, but don't let this bother you. Meaning all of the around, or like the Howard saying, do you know what you're doing? There's a lot of people and trying to already, take your strength away, or whatever you've got in there that just peel away it a little, or make yourself doubt yourself. And I didn't even it might have hit me a couple of times, but the thing that I knew to say really quick was, "Oh no, sir," as I'm listening to you and I'm getting ideas for what you do, and then I'll take it from there. And Howard was like, well, this is the way you're supposed to do it. And I thought,
and before
whatever comes out of my mouth is what's going to happen, and I'm going to be up there and you're not. Because I remember another thing a smart man told me, and he said, if you ever think about, that you're even intimidated by any of those people, first of all, this is the only time that they're going to listen to you, so take your best shot. So, okay, nobody can stop me. Vince couldn't come out there or anything, so just if I delivered right and kind of animated my way through, and if they didn't like it, I knew I wouldn't be there. And plus the fact, he wasn't the one that asked me. He wasn't the one that put me there. None of these people were, but the one, Vince McMahon. And, I don't know what you had with Vince, and I just want to sidestep over here. I have nothing to say ever bad about Vince and how he treated me, and I mean that by my family too. He just, I didn't even want it to come to an end. I understood. I was given a chance to go to Connecticut and live, but I couldn't. It was one thing that my mom just, she couldn't. She'd been up there and she couldn't do it. She said, it's just not for me. So that was, again, the choice I had to make is not to go on any longer. But he gave me free rein, I guess, and that's how the first time that I went to San Francisco, I think that was my second time on national television, and God, I ended up getting there late. I had a Russian cab driver that did not speak English, and I was saying Cow Palace, get me to the Cow Palace. And so my first dressing room at that time was with a bird named Frankie. And so it was Frankie and I. I was like, oh, man, I am hitting a big time now.
Yeah,
so, from even like dressing rooms. So, yeah, intimidated, but I was thankful. You know, I was thankful to be there. I didn't care about having my name in lights or anything. I was a part of something that my dad loved. And consequently, I know I've been talking your ears off, but when it came time that I lost my dad, and it was just at the beginning of everything that was going on, I started the television in April, which I just had an anniversary. I had a fan reach out to me and say, April 22nd, 1988, and I'm like, whoa! That was my first time that on Springfield television. And anyway, my dad got sick that summer. By August, we kind of knew it was bad, but I lost him September 9th in 88. So here I was just starting, and Vince had been flying me to make sure that I was with my family every weekend. And from April on, I would be, during the week, Monday through Friday, would be working at the new studio that he had. Yeah. You know, Bruce Pritchard, and then Mean Gene, he was putting it together. It was a new studio. And that was his intention, for me to move up there and then work in the studio and then go on the road to be part of the television part. Well, when it came to that, my dad was sick, and this again, Vince flying me back and forth because of me being a mom. That was where he was at. That's the kind of guy he was. Probably doesn't want people to know that, but he was a good guy, and there was a hope, and he kept his word. Well, when it happened that my dad passed away, the first person that I called and it was Vince, and that was when I could get to talk to him. I don't get to talk to him anymore. I said, get me on the road. Just get me on the road. And he said, no, you need to be there with your family. And I said, but my family is on the road. He did tell me, stay here. He paid me for the 6 weeks that I was off every week, and then put me back on the road. And the first time I was back on the road then was back in San Francisco. And I'll tell you, the first person I saw and ran and hugged, and probably people don't know this, was Bobby the Brain Heenan. He was a dear. I never knew if he really, really liked me, but when it came time that something like that happened, they knew I was hurting, and I've never seen such outpouring of nice people.